Today's video is gonna be a fun one, y'all. It is time for Sonnets Flippin' Frenzy Part 2. And today you will follow along as I revamp the items I got in my box. Let's go. I received my box from Lisa at Gypsy Woman Charm. I will link her channel below so you can watch her video, which would have premiered right before mine. And then I sent a box to Cindy at Sparks of Vintage, and I will link her below so you guys can see what I sent her and how she transformed them. And she should be right after me in our little train here. And I pulled out first here, this is a new, like a little charger that's like salad plate size. And then this little wooden watering can planter. And then there's this little wood bowl, and I love wood bowls, so I absolutely adored that. There was two little pieces of like a leather, an old metal alarm clock, and this is a little silver-plated individual creamer. Its little legs are broken off, so I had to figure out a way to work with that. So project number one, you guys, this is so much fun. Project number one is our little watering can. The first thing I do was I popped off that little charm that was on there, and I set that aside, peeled off the tag, and decided I was going to paint this white. So I went in with, which white is this? I'll link it below. I always link everything I use. And I gave this one coat and then let it dry completely. And this is a really good, got really great coverage. So I knew I wasn't going to have to do the three. I could just do one more coat and be good. Actually, guys, this is White Swan, now that I remember. So I used White Swan by DIY. Over the entire thing, the bottom, and then on the inside there was like a lip, so I painted down to that lip. I did not do the rest of that. There was no way you could get a paintbrush in there, so without spraying it, there wasn't anything I could do. And I was going to distress this back anyways so that you could see the green pop through that white, so it was totally fine that I left this. And what I am using this for, you will never even know it's green on the inside. So we're going to set this aside to dry, and while this is drying, I decide that on each of those little white picket fence posts, I am going to use some paint inlays. So I took out paint inlays that I've already used once, and I measure up with our little pot there and figure out how big I need to cut them. And what I decided to do was use two different patterns. So I cut two pieces in one pattern and then four in the other, and I was going to alternate the handle and the spout covered up that next one that would have had the alternating one, so I just left that. I do go ahead and mist my used paint inlays, so I still mist them just like you would any other time, and these were used with cake batter before, so some of that cake batter may transfer into my paint. And then what I did is I painted each of these strips one by one. So I painted it, and then I laid my strip into it, I smoothed it out, and then I paint the next one and the next one. I go in at the very end and mist them, I think. Is what I ended up doing definitely on that other side, because it didn't make sense to mist and then paint and then mist and then paint. So I just waited to mist them to the very end. And when I mist it, after the three are applied, I just smooth it all out and then flip it over and do the exact same thing to the other side. And then we are going to set this aside to dry. And there I misted it. And then I kind of just used that paper towel, it's a shop towel, just to make sure that everything was adhered really well. There was no bubbles underneath each of my inlays. And then this is just the same exact process that you would do with a new one. And then once this is dry completely, it does turn like almost white again, so you can't see through it. So I just go ahead and mist it, and I let it sit for a little bit. I did rub the water in to each little piece a little bit to make it easier to pull off. And then I just simply peel these back one by one. And y'all know me, I love this process. It had such a faded, beautiful look to it. It was exactly what I was looking for. I wanted that worn, well-loved vintage feel, and I most definitely got it. I am so excited about how this piece turned out. And then you guys, once this is done, we are going to take our little finger sander and sand each of these little pieces as well as the handle and the spout. And I just want the green to be popping through just enough to give it some visual interest and look like it's old and worn to match our inlay spots. Look at this, you guys. It is perfection. And here we are sanding, and I'm making sure to get each of the sides, the bottom and the top, and then all along where the spout is as well. Once we are done sanding, I am just going to give this a coat of Big Top and set this aside to dry. And you guys, as per usual, wait until the very end to see everything staged up. These projects turned out fabulous. For project number two, I took that little vintage silver plated creamer and I took out my apothecary paint by DIY. I peeled off the little label, the made in label off of the bottom, and then I went in with about a coat and a half. So one good coat. If you guys see, I get great coverage with this paint on this silver. I let it completely dry, and this just kind of went in with a spot touch up on this. This is going to be a pretty quick and easy transformation, and I think it is just darling. So once I get all of my paint on there, I do go in with a finger sander and just sand on the handle edges, and I sand on those little feet and just have some of that silver popping out, and just so it looks a little bit more distressed. And then once I have that done, we are going to move on to the next step. So a while back, I thrifted two planters and I broke one. And then the other one you can kind of see on the table there. But I just kind of measured where I had the foam in it, floral foam. So I measured where the mouth of this little creamer was. I cut a chunk off and I squished it all inside of my creamer. And then I'm going to add some flowers. And here you will see me using some E6000 to glue a magnet to the back. So I am making the cutest refrigerator magnet you have ever seen. Again, hang out to the very end to see the final results as we move on to project number three. So this project is actually that little clock, and I knew the minute I saw it, I wanted to do something with it, and I could tell that there was some battery acid that was in the battery compartment. So what I did was I took off the back, and there was definitely quite a bit of corrosion in there. But I took all those components out and broke them off. But then I used that back later. So just stay tuned so you can see me doing that. I did have to go in with my screwdriver here and kind of pop it off the back. But once that's gone, it's really, really easy to remove. I take out a piece of tan cardstock, any color would work, and I just traced around that backer with a pencil and I cut this piece out. This will be our new backer for the clock. I will just glue along the edge. Double-sided tape would work really well for this as well, and just have this for the back instead of that hard plastic that has the corrosion, and this covers any of that interior corrosion. So I was going for a cohesive set to make a vignette, and I decided to take out the DIY Cottage Color Veranda, and I gave this little clock 3 coats of this pink color and let it dry very thoroughly in between each coat. And I did not paint the bells, and I did not paint the face. Luckily, this face was very easy to clean off. It's glass, and it made it super easy if I got any of the paint on there, just to wipe it right off. And there I am painting the little legs, and I apply the backer at a later point. And here we go with that second coat. You can see this once it's dried, and then adding that second coat. It's such a gorgeous color. And these colors all go so well together. I can't wait to share my final vignette with you. And one other thing I did is, because this clock face is no longer going to work, I just turned the dials and then stopped and put a transfer over the face of this. It is from the Katharina transfer set by IOD, and I just picked a pink floral that matched beautifully. For project number 4, I went and took that little wood bowl I got, and I sanded the flat side to remove anything that may have been on there. I wanted to glue this to our charger plate, so I wanted to make sure I had a good connection, but I also kind of wanted these to match. So I went in with my mister bottle and misted this plate. It's just bare dry wood, and I wanted to do like a wash on this with weathered wood. Normally I use my Dark and Decrepit, but that was at the house, so I needed to change up what I was going to do. And I'm also misted my brush, and then I go in with a really quick coat, and then I wipe it back with a shop towel and flip it over and do the other side. And then we're going to let this dry really, really good in between, because when I do go and glue these two pieces together, if it's wet, that glue is not going to bond as well. So I want to make sure that we do have some good adhesion between the two pieces. And then for that little bowl, I do go in and give it a good scuff sand with my finger sander, and then I go over it as well with the weathered wood and wipe it all back and let it dry really well before I move on. So one of the reasons I like to use Dark and Decrepit over the Weathered Wood is because it does have that sealer in it. So after this dried and the glue dried, I knew it needed to be sealed up before I moved on to my next step. So I decided to go in with the gray that came in our last Sonnet Makers box. I don't remember the name of it, and I don't have that little nifty card on me. It's at the shop. So I will link it below, but it was in the July Sonnets Creative Makers box, and I went in with just one coat of this, let it dry thoroughly, and then moved on to my next step. So I think these two colors actually were very, very similar, and the Fusion paint has a top coat in it, so it sealed in my wood. And I have decided to use White Swan, and I go in with two coats of White Swan on this piece. I let this dry thoroughly in between each coat and then go in with my finger sander, and I sand all of the edges and a few other little spots to make this look worn and old. And then I used that same transfer set, the Katharina from the Spring 2025 release, and picked out two more floral pieces, put one on each side of this, and then I distressed the heck out of those two. And then I made you all some vignettes. So here we go.
What'd you think? Which item was your favorite? Make sure to comment below which item you liked the best, which one I transformed and blew your mind. And also make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Do all the things. It really does help a small business like mine. And we will see you all next time. Bye.